standing on the back of your mats. Feet are going to be hip distance apart. Shoulders back and down, and we're going to close our eyes for some breath work. So taking deep breaths in through your nose and exhaling out through your mouth. Keeping your arms long down by your side today, we're just going to start tilting forward onto your toes and then back onto your heels. You're going to feel slightly wobbly. That's okay, the floor is there to catch you. It's just starting to tune into our body and how it's feeling this morning and in that standing position. Focusing on that breath floating all the way in through your nose. And then exhaling out through your mouth. The next time you're rocking back onto those heels, find stillness in your feet and a finding grounding breath in through your nose, out through your mouth. Gently start blinking open your eyes. Give yourself a smile. We're going to circle those hands all the way up towards the ceilings. Hands come to interlace. You're going to rock over to one side, opening up through that side body. Just check in to see how you're feeling this Tuesday morning. Come back to center and then rock over to that other side. Coming back to that center point, take a deep breath in. You're looking up towards those hands. And exhale, open out, around and down. When those hands touch those knees, you're slowly going to ripple that upper body down. Upper back, middle back, lower back, hanging really heavy here. Can we just have a little sway from side to side? Seeing how your hips feel, how your legs feel. Finding stillness. Nod your head yes. Shake your head no, releasing any tension into that neck. Your hands come down onto the mat in front of your feet, and you're slowly going to walk your hands out to your first plank. Hold here. Okay, you're pressing down through those hands. You can obviously drop down to your knees or elbows at any point. Eye gaze is long and your heels are back. I want you to push up with those hands consciously, and that will create space into your upper back. We're going to lift through those hips, come onto towards your heels, and we're going to find a downward dog position. So kind of in a kind of V-shaped fold of our body. And then we slowly ripple back forward onto your toes, and we find that strong plank. So keep working through this. You push through those hands, you lift those hips up and back. And then you glide all the way forward. Keep rippling. We're going from downward dog into your plank position. We're warming up through that back of the body. Final one, final plank. Have a quick pause. Really squeeze those heels all the way back. And then we lift those hips all the way back up. Eye gazes towards those ankles, and we're just going to pedal out those feet. One heel drops at a time. Slight bend into those knees. And can you challenge yourself to get that heel slightly closer to the ground every time? We spend so much time walking, running, or standing on our feet. So this is just really nice to find length into the back of those ankles. Find a still position, both heels are down towards the ground. Your eye gaze is forward, and we slowly float yourself down into a 4-point kneeling position. Okay, hands come underneath those shoulders, knees are underneath those hips. We're going to start with a cat-cow, dropping the belly down, eye gaze lifts. And then scooping your belly, eye gaze comes towards your knees. As we go through this, I want you to think about that spine. It's all the way from the crown of your head to your pelvis. So I want you to ripple and peel all the way through, one vertebra at a time. Find the midpoint between your extremes. That will be your neutral spine. Your right hand is going to come behind your head. And we're going to open that right elbow up towards the ceiling. Can you then thread that right elbow down towards that left hand? This should feel like a really nice opener for the upper and mid back. And then you float all the way down and keep going through that. So I'm just going to lift my camera up slightly. The next time that right elbow is up, hold there. Can you reach that hand all the way up towards the ceiling? And then it's going to thread all the way through the other side. Your right ear is almost going to come down onto the mat. One more like that. Reach that right hand all the way up, looking up towards that hand. And then float it all the way down and then back. The next time that right hand reaches up to the ceiling, this is going to be the furthest it's reached all morning. And then you slowly float it down to the mat. Really nice. Let's do that on this other side. Left hand comes behind your head. You rotate, you look up towards the ceiling. It feels almost a bit stickier with that elbow. And then that elbow comes down towards that right hand. This is really nice if we're about to be sat at a desk for a lot of the day, opening up through that chest, opening up through that mid-back. The next time you reach up, hold there. Can you reach that hand up towards the ceiling? Really give energy to those fingertips. And then we rotate all the way through. Hand comes down to the ground, left ear finds the floor. Let's do that one more time. You reach that left hand all the way up, fingertips up towards the ceiling. And then thread it all the way through, really melting that left ear into the mat. Final one, you reach that left hand all the way up, think energy to that ceiling, and then slowly float that left hand down. Okay, we're going to come to side line. So I'm going to lie on my left hand side. I'm going to be a really long line today as if I'm a pencil. It's going to be harder to keep both legs straight. If you want to make it slightly lighter at any time, you can bend through that bottom knee. Okay, we'll start with it straight and then we can see how we go. Front hand can be on that mat in front of you for support. I just want you to think about, you can't really see it, but lifting those top hips off of the mat. So there should be a little bit of space in between your lower kind of rib area and that mat. Fingertips come in front of you for support. Point through those toes. That top leg is going to lift up in line with your hip, and then it's going to drop down. Okay. So the focus of the class today, well, it's going to be full body, but we're going to focus on our inner thighs, which will all start to make sense in a second. To really start to engage them, I want you to point with energy through those toes. We don't want to rock. I know our bodies are going to want to rock forward and backward, trying to find that still position and stable position as we lift and lower. Our top hand is one to kind of grip on the ground. So once again, just lightly tap with our fingertips. The next time you lift that top leg up, hold there. Can that bottom leg meet up to kiss and meet that leg? And then both legs lower down. So we lift, lift, lower. Okay, there's those inner thighs. We lift, lift, lower. And once again, it's just working in your range. It doesn't have to be this big kind of drastic movement. It's just small and steady and how far you can reach without rocking or rolling onto those hips. Really nice. Lift, lift, lower. We've got 3 more like this. From what I can see in the screens, it was looking fab. 2, 1. Keep that bottom leg onto the ground and that top leg just meets up. Pause there. Point through that toe. We're going to sweep that leg forward towards me and then flex that foot, gliding it all the way back. You point that toe, you sweep forward. We're coming into that glute now and you flex to come back. We're starting to work onto that top glutes. Pointing to come forward, keeping steady. Have you still got that gap underneath your waist? Imagine I've just put an ice cube there and you're lifting off of that ice cube. Really nice. Really point through those toes, flex to those feet. And the next time those legs are long, hold there. Can you just have a pause? Maybe lift slightly higher. My leg is shaking, I hope yours is too. Bend through that top leg, and that top knee is just going to come onto that mat in front of that bottom leg. Okay, so it looks kind of like, yeah, that top leg is just, the knee is rested on that floor. Your back leg is now straight. If it was bent, point through those toes. Fingertips stay on that mat for support. We're going to exhale and we're going to lift that back leg all the way up. And then we slowly drop it down. Okay, we should really start to feel those inner thighs in that side. If you're not feeling those inner thighs, that's probably because you've tilted forward or tilted back into those hips. Just make sure those hips are stacked. And you can always bring your top hand onto your hip just to make sure they're not kind of rocking and rolling too much. Keep pointing through those toes, and we're really starting to use that inner thighs to lift us up and then drop down. Okay, challenge yourself to lift slightly higher for the next 3, 2. The next time you hold up, pause here. I want you to keep that leg lifted, and I want you to create a kind of U or a V shape with that leg. So you're drawing a capital U or a V shape. Sweeping round and round. Drawing that shape with that bottom leg. We've got 4, 3, 2, 1. Drop that leg. Allow those legs to collapse. You can tap through that inner thigh if you need. And then slowly we're going to come round to lie onto our backs. Oh, okay. This is so nice. Have a quick breather. We're coming into our abs. So shoulders roll back and down. And your hands are going to interlace behind your head. Thumbs track down your neck. And you've got a slight lift of those elbows off of the mats. We're going to start today with those legs in tabletop. So knees are over those hips. But of course, you can drop those feet at any point. Okay, just see how you feel today. Oh, the sun is shining here. It's a lovely day in Dublin. Shoulders back and down. We're going to inhale to prepare. On that exhale, you're going to reach your head, neck, and chest up. Your eye gaze is going to be towards those knees. And then you slowly drop all the way back down. So you exhale to lift. And you inhale to drop. Lift. And then release. Okay, we're starting to come into those lower abs. Your eye gaze is up towards those knees the whole time. Can we add on? We're going to lift all the way up and we're all going to hold there. Can you kick your right leg long towards the center of your room? Come back and then lower all the way down. So we lift. It's the opposite leg now that reaches long. Come back and then drop down. Lift. Really point, extend through that foot. Draw back and then lower. By extending one leg, we're coming more into those oblique muscles. We're also just challenging those abs because we're having to keep them up and extended and working quite slightly higher as you're finding that outcome. Think energy all the way through the crown of your head towards your toes. In 4, we're going to stay up at that top point. The lower that leg starts to come to the ground, the more this is going to be a challenge for those abs. So they can be higher if you want to make it lighter, or lower kicks if you want to make it lower. And the next time you reach up, we're going to hold there. Okay, keep that ab curl, and we're just going to switch those legs. So one leg's going to extend, you draw back, and then the other leg extends. With every exhale, can you maybe lift that head slightly further off of the mat? Okay, we should really start to be feeling those abs, those tummy muscles. We're going to finish this off with a bicycle. The next time your right leg is long, hold there. Your right elbow is going to come towards that left knee, on opposite elbow to knee. You draw both legs back in, and then you switch. So we find that center point, and then we switch. And I know I said elbow to knee, but it's more kind of your armpit, which is reaching up and over. If your elbow isn't close to your knee, that's fine. It's just that up and over sensation. We're working into those obliques, those side abdominal muscles. You've got 4. Can you really reach that bottom leg long? 3. You're all doing so well. 2, 1, and release everything down. Hug your knees into your chest and give yourself a little bit of a rock from side to side. Okay, we're going to find a bridge which will be nice to release through those abs. So your feet come flat onto the ground, fingertips are long and down to begin with, and your fingertips can almost just tap the back of those heels. That will just mean that your position is right for that bridge. Your arms are going to be long. We slowly start drawing your lower back into the mat, and we ripple ourselves all the way up. Lower back, middle back, upper back, hold here. So we're diagonal lines from your hips to your knees. We're not leading with those ribs. And then we slowly ripple down, upper back, middle back, lower back. We're going to bring those arms into it. As we float those hips, can you lift your arms over your head, hold here. Keep your hips high. Your arms keep going and floating all the way back behind you. Pause, hands relax on the ground if they can, but it doesn't matter if they're floating. We slowly ripple our back down, upper back, middle back, lower back, bum hits, and then we float your hands down. Okay, let's do that again. Exhale, lift through those hips, lift through those arms. Keep those hips lifted as we float those arms back. We slowly lower all the way down, really thinking about the articulation of the spine, and then drop those hands down. Float through this at your own time. I feel that when those hands are lifted behind, we can really kind of feel every vertebra at a time, find that mat beneath us, and we come down. Final one like this, we lift up. You're squeezing those glutes at the top, reach those hands back, and we slowly ripple down, upper back, middle back, lower back, hands come down onto the ground. Okay, keep those hands down. We're going to find that bridge for the final time, lifting those hips up and pause. Okay, hold this top position. We're going to tap your knees together and then we're going to release. I'm just going to reverse so you can see what I'm doing. So we tap and then we release. It's as if we're squeezing something in between those knees and then we release it and drop it down. We're coming back into those inner thighs as the theme of today. Let's go for 3, 2, 1, and then slowly allow yourself to ripple all the way down. Okay, just give yourself a little sway, knees from side to side. Your hands are going to come behind your knees, and if you can, you just do a few rocks up to a seated position. We're going to find our mermaid, because it's just my favourite stretch ever. I'll probably always do one in this class. So your left shin is going to come in front, and your right shin is going to come behind you. Left foot comes and kind of taps onto that front knee. Your left hand's going to come to the ground, and your right hand's going to reach all the way up and over, finding space into that right side body, and then glide all the way back. Let's keep going onto that side. Can you reach slightly further up and over every time? And then release. One more, reaching up and over. Pause there. Can you maybe drop slightly deeper into that bottom elbow? And then come all the way back, and we're just going to find that opposite side. Your left hand reaches all the way up and over. Okay, come back to center. We're going to come into a high kneeling position. I'm just going to change my screen because I've deheaded myself. Your hands are going to be long in line with those shoulders. You stay facing me. I'm just going to come round the side. Okay, we're coming to those hinges and we're going to start working those quads. I want you to keep this straight position. Your toes are really pushing into the ground. Inhale, prepare. On that exhale, we're going to hinge yourself all the way back. And then we're going to glide yourself all the way up. So you're keeping that straight position, and it's not about how low you go. It's about keeping that straight hinge of that body as you glide yourself back and you glide yourself forward. I want you to really feel it in those quads. If you can't feel it in your quads, that's your cue for your body to keep your hips shining slightly further forward. Okay, the next time we come down, you're going to bend your left elbow. You're going to look towards that left elbow and find a slight rotation. And then you reach all the way back. And then we go over to the other side, right elbow pulls back. And then we come forward. It's like a bow and arrow movement. So really hinging back. We're coming back into those obliques. They've already been switched on, as well as our quads. Hopefully you can feel this as much as me. Maybe you're going to go slightly lower for the final 3, final 2, final 1. Hold all the way up. We're going to hold down and you're just going to pause here. Arms along with energy that's shining forward. You're hinging back, hips are forward for 4, 3, sink deeper, 2, 1. Glide yourself up, tap up through those glutes. Keep that same position. Okay, elbows come in towards your ribs. And you're now going to tilt yourself forward. This will feel nice in the quads. But your bum is going to be slightly further back as if we're about to sit on those hills. Elbows are in towards those ribs. Palms are facing forward as if you're holding onto a ball. Can you start sweeping those arms all the way back behind you? And then glide them in. We're coming into those triceps, so the back of those arms. You sweep back behind you. And then you fold in. If you can see me, my elbows are really staying in towards my ribs the whole time. Yeah, really nice. So you've got that hinge. Elbows are staying in, and that's to really engage those triceps. The next time you reach back, I want you to hold there. Palms are up towards the ceiling, and we're going to pulse those palms up towards the ceiling as if we're pressing something to the sky. We're here for 6. Can you reach those hands forward or higher, slightly more, your eye gaze towards the front of that mat for 4. Higher, 3. Reach those hands higher for 2. And 1, release, roll those shoulders back. Roll those shoulders forward. And now the mermaid on the other side is going to feel really nice. So right foot is going to come forward, left foot is going to come back. Right hand comes onto the mat, and we're going to sweep that hand up and over and just see how this side compares. I can feel my arms just from doing this move, which is hopefully satisfying. Really nice. The next one we're going to hold down, maybe come slightly deeper onto that elbow. Really reach with energy through that top hand. And then we find that counter stretch. So your left hand comes down and your right hand reaches all the way up and over. Okay, we're going to come to lie on that opposite side. Your right hand is going to come all the way down, and we're going to lie really long like that straight pencil. Okay, that top hand, those fingertips are down to support us. Remember, you can bend that bottom knee if you need. Otherwise, your hips are stacked, and we've got that gap underneath that lower waist. Inhale, prepare. On that exhale, I want you to point and lift that top leg, and then tap it down. Once again, we're not swaying or rocking forward and back in those hips. You're pointing with energy through both of those toes, just to switch on those inner thighs straight away. The next time you lift, can you hold there? Can we lift that bottom leg up to meet the top? And then you lower both legs down. So we lift, lift, lower, lift, lift, lower. We're really using those inner thighs on that bottom leg to zip up and meet that top leg. I know this can feel a lot on that bottom hip. So if you've got bony hips, you can always be lying onto a mat. So you can fold over the mat, or you can be lying onto a blanket or a jumper or something underneath that waist as well. So we lift, lift, lower. Really nice. Straight legs if we can. We've got 2 more. Final one like this. Drop both legs down, and now just your top leg is lifted. Point through those toes. We sweep that leg forward towards me at the screen. Flex your foot, glide it all the way back. just behind your bum. So you point that leg, sweep it forwards, flex and glide back. If you feel a bit wobbly and if you're rocking too much in those hips, that's probably just the cue from your body just to reduce that range slightly. Just tune into your own body, seeing how it's feeling. And we're really starting to feel that top glute. So for me, it's my left glute working. Pointing your that toe to glide forward and flex to come back. We've got 2 more like this. Can you maybe kick slightly further? Final one, we're going to meet with that leg all the way out. Hold there. Can you maybe lift it higher? And then drop that top leg all the way onto that mat. So it's kind of collapsed on that mat. Leg can be completely rested down. Once again, blanket or kind of jumper can be used if you need support. We point through that back leg. For me, it's my right toes. We're going to lift that back leg up. And then we drop it down. This is your last piece of hard work. And then we're going to stretch it out. You're all doing so well. You exhale to lift. Inhale to lower. Keep pointing through those toes. Once again, your hips aren't rocking or rolling. They're really nice and stacked as we lift and point through that bottom leg. And then we tap it down. We've got 3 more, and then we're going to draw those V or those U shapes. 2. The next time you hold up, pause here. Can we draw that V or that U? We're going up and we're going down. Okay, this should feel shaky in those inner thighs. If it's not, just make sure those hips are stacked and you're really pointing that toe, lifting it to that top point of your range. Okay, finishing off with this shaky one. We've got 4. You're doing so well. The end is in sight for 3, 2, 1. Hold up. And then just drop everything down. Okay, tap both of those legs out and come to lie all the way onto your back to finish off. Your right knee is going to come into your chest, interlace your hands underneath your knee, and your left leg is straight. We're going to draw small circles of that knee, really finding that space in that hip socket. And just if you can, tuning back into that breath we found at the start. So we're breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth. Start reversing the direction of those circles. Find stillness. Your left hand comes to the top of the knee. It's going to float and cross over to the opposite side. Right hand reaches out and your hand comes over. So your eye gaze comes over to look towards that hand. You're finding a spine twist. Breathing into this side, dropping that knee maybe closer to the ground. Coming back to center, hug that knee in. Draw that left knee in to meet the right. Your right leg floats long and your hands interlace underneath that left knee. Can we draw small circles of that left knee into that hip? And just seeing how this side compares to the other side. We're definitely not symmetrical. And then start reversing the direction of those circles. Find stillness. Your right hand comes to the top of that knee and your knee crosses over that body. Your left hand reaches out and your eye gaze comes to look towards that hand. So your knees in one direction, eye gaze in the other direction. Coming back to center, hug both knees in towards your chest and just give yourself a little rock from side to side. Finding those deep breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth. Hands come behind your knees. And if we can, we do a few rocks up to seated. So you could do a few kind of tilt forwards and tilt back. When you're ready, we're going to meet and we're going to find a seated position facing me. I like to cross my legs, but whatever seated position feels comfortable. We're going to circle those hands all the way out, around and up Interlace them up towards the ceiling. And let's rock over to one side. We did this at the start of the class. See how you feel now versus the start. Hopefully a bit more awake with a little bit more space in that side body. Come back to center. We reach all the way up and over towards that opposite side. Coming back to center, take a deep breath in, looking up towards the ceiling, reaching high. Circle out, around, and down. Your shoulders roll back. Shoulders roll forward. Give yourselves a massive smile. Thank you so much for joining me on a Tuesday morning. I really hope you enjoyed that and it set you up well for the day.